In games like Vampire Survivors, enemies mindlessly rush straight at the player. Rain World showed me something different. Creatures that actually exist even when you're not looking. They live their own lives, interact with each other, and sometimes they even ignore the player. Today, we're pulling ideas straight from the best indie games and using those tricks to level up our own Unity projects. Let's have fun with creature design and learn game development in the process. Look at this one, shy, indecisive, floating away. This one, total bully, pushing everyone aside. I didn't script these personalities, they emerged from randomness. I create a new Unity project using the 2D universal template. This is my secret weapon, 3 simple modular scripts that inject life, randomness and chaos into any game. Quick to write and infinitely reusable. Let's get creative and have fun while learning 2D game development in Unity. Inside Assets, I create a new folder I call Art, and I drop my background image in. You can download all art assets below the like button, feel free to use them for your games as well. I set sprite mode to single and apply. I drag it into the scene, reset transform, and I move my game view down here. Set it to Full HD, 1920x1080. I rename this to background, and with our setup complete, let's create living alien life forms that move around in natural and unpredictable ways. You can take this rhinomorph sprite sheet I'm giving you with this class and use it in my deep space side-scroller or robots vs aliens tower defense courses as a new enemy type. It's fully compatible and it will fit both of these games perfectly. You can find links to all my premium extended classes down below. Purchasing my full courses using the links below is the best way to support me. Thank you to everyone who left a 5-star review there. It gives me enough resources to make more free content for everyone here on YouTube. I select my armored spiky alien sprite sheet and I open Sprite Editor. I go Slice, Grid by Cell Size, 120x120, Slice, and Apply. I drag any one of these frames into the scene. Audio in layer is 1, so it's visible in front of the background. I rename it to Alien. This kind of alien could be an environmental hazard. It might not even want to chase or swallow the player. Maybe it just minds its own business, but the player has to avoid it because of its hard shell and spikes. I create a folder called Scripts. Inside, I create a monobehavior script I call Assign Random Sprite. If you want, you can also download the full Unity project and its source code in the resources down below. The job of this script will be to take one of the 5 different sprites we have for this enemy and assign it a random one. I want each enemy to look different. I attach it as a component on my alien game object and I open it in my code editor. I create a field for the sprite renderer component and I create an array that will hold all 5 sprites. Inside the start method, we point this field to the sprite renderer component. I create a custom method I call choose_random_sprite here. Save that, and here, on the alien, I see my sprites array. I create 5 elements, and I drag all 5 enemy variants in there. We want to pick a random index between 0 and the length of the sprites array. Then we take this sprite field and assign it one of the randomly chosen images. So now, when the start method runs, we call choose_random_sprite, which will give this enemy one of the 5 possible random visual variants. This is how you can give your creatures random skins in Unity games. Every time I enter play mode, my alien will get a random skin. Keep in mind we always have to exit play mode. If we make changes to our project while in play mode, they will be discarded when we exit play mode. I create a folder I call prefabs and I turn my enemy into a prefab. Now I can create many duplicates, so when I enter play mode, the script will take one of the 5 sprites randomly and assign it to the sprite renderer field. We have random enemy skins. That was quick and easy. Now it's time to make them move. I create a new monobehavior script I call move to random screen position. The script will pick random positions within the visible screen area and make the enemy move towards these target positions. We will need a reference to the camera to get the visible game area. I set it to the main camera in the scene. This one here. I take the alien prefab and attach this script to it as a component. I want the enemy to pick a new target position at certain intervals, so we will need a coroutine. To define it, I use IEnumerator here. We will need system collections namespace up here for this to work. I will call it move routine. I want it to run endlessly, so I say while true. Inside, I set a target, which will be within the visible view of the main camera. Within that visible area, I choose a random horizontal and vertical coordinate. The enemy will move towards that target at a random speed between 1 and 5 units per second. The enemy will change its target position and start moving towards a new target over and over every 1 to 3 seconds. As long as the enemy hasn't reached its target, as long as the enemy's current position is not equal to its target position, we take the enemy and make it move towards the target position from its current position at the random speed value, accounting for real-time passing by, to make sure the game runs at the same speed on all devices. If we are inside this block and the enemy hasn't reached the target, we move it one step towards the target and yield return null to pause this coroutine until the next frame. After it reaches the target, this condition will be false, so it will be skipped and the next line will run, which will wait for 1 to 3 seconds, pausing the entire coroutine for a while. Now that we reached the position, we will wait between 1 to 3 seconds before moving again. So this coroutine repeats that simple process over and over. Pick a random target, move toward it over many frames for smooth animation, then wait for 1 to 3 seconds and loop to choose a new target and move towards it. It will go like this indefinitely. We start this coroutine inside the start method, which runs as soon as the alien game object is enabled. We now have enemies picking a random location in the visible game area, moving towards it at a random speed, waiting 1 to 3 seconds when they reach it, then picking a different random target position and moving there. Now I want the enemies to rotate so that they always face the direction they are moving. I will write this logic in a separate reusable script in case you want to use this functionality for something else independently. So I create a new script I call rotate in movement direction. On the alien prefab, I add it as a component. Let's move it up here. This script needs to be aware of the enemy's previous position so that it can calculate the correct angle to rotate. We also have a field for rotation speed. I will expose this in the inspector so that we can tweak the rotation value per enemy type in case you want to use this for multiple enemy types in your bigger game. Inside the start method, I set previous position to the current position of the object so that we can use it in the next loop. Inside the update method, which runs every frame, I calculate move delta, the difference between the enemy's current position and its position from the previous frame. From that, I calculate the rotation angle. To calculate how to rotate the enemy, I write this line of code, which is a very common formula to rotate in the movement direction in 2D games. Atan2 uses the x and y values of the movement vector to figure out which direction the object is moving. Move delta x, how much the object moved horizontally. Move delta y, how much the object moved vertically. Atan y and x. Notice we use y first and x second here. Here we are saying look at those two numbers and calculate the angle of that movement direction. We need this angle to be in degrees, but Atan2 gives us radians, so I use this radians 2 degrees method to convert it. Now I calculate target rotation based on that angle we just calculated. Quaternion Euler takes 3 angles in degrees and makes a rotation that turns an object by those angles around the x, y, and z axes. I'm passing the angle as the z-axis because I want the enemy to rotate on a 2D plane. Now I simply apply that target rotation we just calculated to transform rotation, and I set previous position to the current position of the object so that we can use it in the next loop. So we figure out how much the object has moved since last frame. We calculate the angle the object should face based on movement. Then we create a rotation based on that angle, and we apply the rotation to the object. We remember the current position for the next frame. I save that, and back in Unity, on my alien prefab, I make sure I have some value in rotation speed. I play, and the enemies turn as they move. In this case, I'm using sprite sheets that are facing up, so to make them actually face the movement direction, I have to account for that. You can simply offset the degrees by whatever rotation you need. In the case of my sprites facing up, I offset by minus 90 degrees, but it will work for any sprite sheet, just offset by a different value if your sprite sheets are facing down, for example. I play, Notice that they rotate instantly when they switch targets. I want that rotation to be animated, so instead of setting rotation to the final target rotation instantly, I will use quaternion rotate towards. I give it the object's current rotation, target rotation, and rotation speed, accounting for delta time to make sure the animation speed is consistent on all devices. If you remember, we set rotation speed to 300 degrees per second, which works well for enemies this size, but you can change that value if you want the enemies to rotate slower or faster. Notice that when they reach the target position, they reset to the left-facing rotation. I want them to stop and keep their original rotation, so we will only run this code if the object actually moved this frame. If move delta is not equal to vector 0. Now, when they reach their target position, they stay rotated facing that direction until they decide to pick a new target position and move towards it. I select all these aliens and duplicate them a few times. I want a huge alien swarm. We are learning so many useful techniques today, I hope you get some value. This is just a quick class. I go more in depth in my long-form classes. We have a simple alien prefab that gets one of 5 random visual variants. It picks random target positions in the visible game area periodically, and it rotates and moves towards them. These aliens are supposed to be floating in space, so I think it would be a nice touch to make them slightly float around their current position to better visualize the weightlessness. This will make them look like they are actually suspended in space with 0 gravity. The same script will also work if you have fish floating in water or maybe floating ghosts, something like that. I create a new script I call float in space. The job of this script is that whatever game object we attach it to, it will make it float in space in a smooth, organic way using Perlin noise. The object hovers around its center point, moving smoothly in a small area. Move amplitude controls how far it floats away from that central position. We will also have move speed, which controls how fast it floats. Start local position is the center point around which the object floats. This will store the object's original local position when the scene starts. Seed is a random offset for Perlin noise, so each object gets its own unique floating pattern even if they use the same amplitude and speed. When the start method runs, we will remember the object's current position, wherever it is, and save it as the center point. It will float around. Then we generate a random seed for smooth variation. We need only horizontal and vertical movement. Z can be 0 since that is front and back motion. This is a 2D game, we don't need that. As the update method runs over and over, we calculate a time value scaled by speed. T will be the time-based input to Perlin noise, controlling the speed and smoothness of the floating motion. Then we calculate horizontal offset using Perlin noise. This line means get a smooth random value between 0 and 1 using Perlin noise. This part gives a smooth random number between 0 and 1. Minus 0.5 moves the range from 0 to 1 to minus 0.5 to plus 0.5, so the object can move left and right. Times 2 scales that range to minus 1 to plus 1, and then we multiply it times move amplitude, which limits how far the object can float from its center. For the vertical movement, we do the same thing as offset x, but we use a different Perlin noise seed, so the object floats smoothly up and down instead of left and right. Then we use these smoothed values to move the object relative to its starting position. As the update method runs, offset x and offset y change continuously in a smooth way based on Perlin noise, and we apply these changes to the object's position, making it float naturally. We have a prefab for the alien with float in space script attached. When we play, we notice a clash. One script moves the object towards a target, and the float in space script also changes its position. Since both scripts directly modify the same transform, they interfere with each other. To fix this, we separate the motions using a parent-child setup. In prefab view, I create a child object. I call it Sprite. It will be under the alien prefab. The parent object will move towards the target, and the child object will have the float in space script, and it will float around relative to its parent. This way, the target motion and the floating motion can be applied independently, but still combine visually on the same object. So on the parent wrapper alien object, I remove the assign random sprite component, and I also remove sprite renderer. On the child sprite game object, I add a sprite renderer, and I attach the assign random sprite script. I add 5 elements here, I drag one of the frames to the sprite field here, and I drag all 5 frames into the sprites array, like we had them before. On the parent alien object, I remove float in space, and I add float in space script component to the sprite game object that now holds the graphics for the alien. I can also set the sprite renderer to the default sort in layer. Order in layer is 1, so it's visible in front of the background. Since I did these changes to the main prefab, all copies will inherit these changes unless we have some active overrides. Now, if I play, aliens move towards their random target positions within the visible game area, but they also float around their central position. What if I give the parent alien object a circle collider 2D component? What will happen if the aliens physically interact with each other? I can choose the radius of the collision circle here. I also need to add a rigid body 2D component for the physics to work. In Unity, usually static objects like walls and floors will work with collider only, but moving objects like player, enemies, or these floating aliens, they need collider plus rigid body 2D if we want them to interact. If I play, they fall down because of gravity. So I set gravity scale to 0. Now the aliens bump into each other and push each other around. This enemy would fit perfectly into my deep space side-scroller or my robots vs aliens tower defense class. If you enjoyed this tutorial and you want more deep space adventures, I will see you there. If you want more aliens and robots, check out my free Deep Space Art Asset Pack. I recently added a lot of high-quality, previously unreleased pieces in there. You can use it here or in my other space-themed game tutorials. Feel free to take those art assets and use them in your games. You can also click the like on this video if you want me to make more free art asset packs in the future. See ya!